It shouldn't be that hard, right? Creating your first YouTube video, it should actually be really easy. Well, let me tell you, it is not easy. My name is Tanya and I am a mixed media artist. And yes, this is my first YouTube video. And I am so excited because I have been trying to muster up the courage to get on here. And today is the day. Today is the day I'm going to get on here and talk to you about my passion, which is art journaling and junk journaling. These are just a few of my little journals that I've made in the past, and I'll talk more about those later. But I just wanted to hop on here, introduce myself, talk to you a little bit about why I think as a creative, you should be doing some kind of, even if you're not an artist, if you want to learn even more about art or you want to get into art, it would also behoove you to learn either art journaling or junk journaling or some kind of visual journaling. They go by many different names, but to me, they're kind of interchangeable and all in one. One of the great things that I love about art journaling and junk journaling is that the number one rule is there are no rules. You can create however you want. I've seen so many creative journals, ways that people have created journals from junk mail, grocery bags, gift bags, just collected paper, old books. I mean, the possibilities are endless. So if that interests you and you want to learn more about junk journaling or art journaling, or if you've already been doing this magical practice and you just want to get another perspective, I would love to share that with you. So, yeah, like I was saying before, my name is Tanya. I'm a mixed media artist, and I started art journaling back in 2020. I was working as a part-time paint and sip instructor. In fact, I still work as a paint and sip instructor. And then 2020 happened, and we all know what happened in 2020, and I had to mostly be at home. I wasn't able to really be in the studio that much. Our classes were very limited in size. So I had a lot of free time on my hands, and I wanted to just keep my art practice going and also just practice because even though I had gotten this job as a paint and sip instructor, it had been a really long time since I had painted, and I wanted a way to practice, but I needed a way to do it in that I could kind of overcome the fear of the blank canvas. And also because canvases, kind of take up a lot of space. They can be really expensive. And a journal, I found, is a great way to just practice mark making, painting, learning what your style is, learning what kind of supplies that you like, and overall just learning to be creative. And the junk journaling, art journaling community is so supportive and so unique in that really you could create anything and people will be here for it. We love to learn from each other, and so I just want to be another resource for you that you can learn from. And if you're new to art journaling or junk journaling, I hope that you will follow me and subscribe to my channel so that I can share what I've learned these past 4 or 5 years about just how it's made me grow as an artist and a creative. So let's get to it. What is art journaling? What is junk journaling? Well, some would say that they're two very different practices, and I kind of think they're one and the same. As I said before, you can go to the store and buy a journal if you like, or you can make your own journal. This was my first journal that I ever got, and it is a Strathmore mixed media journal, and I absolutely love it. And one of the reasons why I love it so much is because when you work in it, it lays flat, and the paper is really good, and it handles a lot of wet media, and so I really love that. Now this journal is kind of pricey. This is, I want to say, kind of like a maybe 8.5 by 5.5 size journal. They make them bigger as well. But like I said, it can be pricey. So I would definitely look and see if they have them on sale at Michael's or things like that. Those are always a great time to pick up something like this. And there are so many other types of journals that you could get, but if you are going to be practicing art journaling specifically, I do highly recommend a mixed media journal because the paper is just going to be thicker and be able to really handle all kinds of wet mediums like paint and watercolor and just collage and things like that. Here's one of my favorite pages from my journal. I am obsessed with Frida, so that's one thing you should know about me. A lot of my pages when I first started out were about Frida Kahlo, and I love her so much, and she is in a lot of little nods to her in my studio. Here's another spread that I did. And one of the other ways that I started in art journaling, junk journaling, was by joining an online community. One that I highly recommend is getmessy.com. If you're just starting out and you're not really sure where to get started, that is a great resource. They have so many classes, so many other artists that collaborate on there, and that's how I started learning different techniques and things like that. But you can also go to my website. I have a website at tanyawatsonstudio.com, and on there I have probably the first 5 or 6 journals that I ever made, and you can go through my gallery and see all my pages, and I have a few little blog posts on there, and I also have a free guide to art journaling where I kind of give you the basics, some basic steps on how to get started. And also I have a resource list on there of my top 10 go-to art supplies. So when you're just starting out, you don't need to buy a ton of art supplies, but I do think it's important to buy certain art supplies because they're going to be ones that you will go to time and time again. They're kind of like your foundation, and then you can build upon there. I can talk more about that later, probably in another video, but for now, you can go to my website, tanyawatsonstudio.com, and click on the front page. You can subscribe or just request my guide for free. It's totally free. You just sign up for it and it'll go to your inbox. And I also have a few little ephemera pages at the end, some bonus pages that you can use in your own journal. So I hope you will check that out. But in the meantime, let's get back to talking about the differences between art journaling and junk journaling. So art journaling is more where you're just kind of practicing your art skills and different techniques, kind of like what I showed you here. You can either go by theme or by materials, or sometimes it's just about mark making and finding little things to make marks with and collage. What I love about art journaling or just junk journaling as a whole is that I find it's a very inspirational practice. I almost always find a way to include like an inspirational quote in my journals, or some kind of like, this one has like a magazine cutout and a quote about growth, and I love that so much. So junk journaling is more where you kind of save bits and pieces and scraps and you kind of put them together, and it's kind of like a more organic journal. Like these are like some old notebook pages and book pages, and you can bind them together. This is my journal for Junk Journal January, which is going on right now. It's a 30-day challenge. I'm a little bit behind, I must confess. Junk journaling is not usually like my total go-to, but what I find I end up doing is I'll start with junk and then I end up focusing more on art making, but it's really whatever you want to do. Like I said before, there are no rules in art journaling and junk journaling. And I have a little video on another channel that you can check out. If you go to my website, you can see where else I've posted content, and I have a video on how I made a journal like this. And I'd love to make a longer video on how to do that on this channel as well. So if you're interested in that, just let me know. But really, it's just collecting little bits and pieces, and what I love about it is you can kind of document your day. I have a journal back here. I have this journal here that I created about a trip that we did last summer to Belfast, Northern Ireland. That's where my husband is from, and we went to a family wedding. And what I love about junk journaling is you can kind of gather up bits and pieces and make them into a journal. And you can, it's also kind of like combines scrapbooking because you can include photos. So we went for a family wedding and I cut up elements from the wedding program. The theme was sunflowers, and we took lots of photos. And then these are some of the dried flowers that they threw out when the bride and groom were coming out of the church. And then here's some little receipts and all kinds of things that I picked up along the way on my trip. And it just was a fun way to document our trip. So I guess, you know, that would be the difference. Is I would say that junk journaling can be a little more about documenting your daily life, or maybe a good way to document like a trip. Whenever I travel, I love to pick up little tidbits like paper menus, flyers. I keep receipts, maybe tags from things that I purchased. Almost anything that is, you know, paper or some kind of paper good, I will set aside. I'll keep like a little baggie and collect them all so that when I come home, I can make a journal about my trip. So I guess for me, that's what junk journaling is more like, but it can totally be about art as well. I have another, let's see, I have another journal here where I just, you know, you just kind of grab bits and pieces, and you kind of, you know, I've used paper bags that I painted on, and it's kind of using the junk that's already in your house as art materials. And I really love that too. It's a really sustainable way to create. You know, you could probably start a journal with things that you already have in your house. I do recommend doing it that way. I do recommend starting out that way. You don't need to go out and buy a ton of supplies. Just start with what you have. You probably already maybe have a composition notebook. You maybe have a glue stick and some pens and pencils, some markers. You might even have some paint laying around. But you could really pick up the things like that really inexpensively at places like the Dollar Tree, or even at Michael's. You can find their Artist Loft brand supplies are super cheap, and some of them, like their watercolor palette, is one of my favorite go-tos. I've already gone through like 2 of these. This is one of my favorite art supplies that I use in my journals because it's literally like $5 or $6, and it has every color. Excuse me. You don't have to worry about mixing colors. That's something that you can learn down the line. But anyway, computer. Let's see. So there are, like I was saying, there's lots of different ways that you can create. A lot of people also use printables, and they buy journal kits that they can print, they can download and print online. I do have some journal kits that I've made up. I do plan on making some more in the future, but I do have some journal kits and printable quotes and prompt cards that you can find in my Etsy shop at Tanya Watson Studio. Those are all great tools, especially if you're just starting out. I love prompt cards because they can kind of help you create in your journal. I don't know if I have any. Let's see. Yes, so I have my prompt cards right here. I have some that are by theme, and then some that are just techniques. So these are great because you can just kind of throw them in a bowl, pick one, and practice a technique. And I love these because they have a definition, they kind of describe what the technique's about. So if you're new to art journaling or junk journaling and you want to kind of some guidance, this is some other guidance that you can download. And I think I have included some prompt cards in my free art journaling guide. So be sure and download that. Like I said, you can find it on my website at Tanya Watson Studio. And yeah, I also have printable phrases that you can cut out and put in your journal. I love including any kind of inspirational phrases, like I said, on my pages. And yeah, so I like to do a lot of what's called mixed media. And I am not really a minimalist creator. I'm kind of like more is more. And so I always find that I have a hard time like knowing where to stop. But that's what's so great about this practice is there's no right or wrong way to approach it. It's really whatever excites you and is appealing to you. So I'm going to, do my best to try and post here at least once a week. And I'm going to probably start out with the basics. Right now I'm in the middle of Junk Journal January, so I will probably share some posts from that journal as well. But I would love to just start with the basics, and really we could learn to make some quick journals like the one that I was sharing with you that I made for Junk Journal January. Here's another example of that. It's got some little tags hanging from it. This was a really simple journal. I love having journals with like lots of different pages in them. And I also like to make what's called journal zines, which are more of like a folded journal. And the way I do that is I let's see, I have one that's a great example. So basically how it works is you paint on one giant piece of paper and then you fold it in a certain way so that it turns into a journal. And some people call them zines, some people call them folded journals. But I love making these, and I've made several of them, and I plan on talking about that as well. So that'll definitely be something that I'll cover in my channel. This is one of my favorite ones. It was about my fantasy trip to Paris. I've never been to Paris, but maybe one day I'll get to go. And I love thrifting and antiquing, and one of my dreams is to go to a Paris flea market. So I made a journal spread about that and what that would be like in my imagination. And that's another thing I love about art journaling and junk journaling is you can practice storytelling. It can be, your journal can be about anything that you want it to be. I've even made journals based on books. Let me see if I can find that one. So yes, like I was talking about before, was Get Messy. When you join, it is a paid membership, but when you join every month, they have a different topic that they cover. And like I said, I think it's great for just starting out and you're just not knowing where to start. Of course, you can also find people like me here on YouTube who will have other tips and tricks and fun things for you to do. But one season, they call them seasons. So every month is a theme or a season. We were to make a journal based on a inspirational book. And I am very into self-help, very into spirituality and the metaphysical. And one of my all-time favorite books was a book by Louise Hay. She is no longer alive, but she was very big in the spiritual New Age community way back in the day. And she had a book of affirmations. It was a book of affirmations that I would keep by my bedside. And I picked some of my favorite ones, and I transformed a children's board book into a journal and included some of my favorite affirmations in it. And it was a really fun way to create. I haven't made a board book journal in a minute, but this is what I mean. Like, there's so many different ways you can make a journal. And this one was so fun because I got to practice just lots of like making crazy collages. And I love looking through it and reading all of the affirmations. It's almost like I created a whole new book out of that book. that inspires me that I could now keep by my bedside and not only be inspired by the affirmations, but I can be inspired by the art as well. So anyway, I have been rambling on and on. I just really wanted to share kind of what my channel would be about or will be about. I am really into just sharing what I know about art journaling, junk journaling. For me, it is a really creative but also therapeutic process, and I like to keep things positive and motivating and inspiring. That's what this practice is all about for me, and that's what I would like to share with you. So if you're interested in that, if that is something that sounds fun and exciting to you, or you're just starting with art journaling or junk journaling, or you're just curious, and or if you're an artist and you want to know how to kind of expand your skills or practice without having to use up canvases, or just the fear, maybe you have like a block of the blank canvas and you don't know where to start. Keeping an art journal is a great way to kind of spark your creativity and just kind of practice ideas before you like put them out on a canvas. So anyway, I hope that you will join me on my channel. If you liked what I talked about today, what I showed you, please like and follow me. I am trying to grow this channel, and if I get it to, I'm trying to get like at least 100 followers in the next like 30 days. And if I get it to that, then I'm going to do an awesome giveaway with all kinds of goodies, junk journaling, art journaling goodies. So if you're interested in that, please like and subscribe to my channel, and I hope to see you soon in another video. And thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you soon.